Hi everybody, we're back with chapter 7, uh, advertising research. So again, I hate how you can't see those. We're going to talk about, in this, again talking about analyzing the environment. And we're going to talk about developmental research, secondary data, copy research, results research, role of account planning, and future of advertising research. Okay, so here we go, more with seeing a little bit of integrated brand promotion in action with IKEA. I assume you're all familiar with IKEA. And it's this idea of really terrific sound integration of social media messaging and traditional media. And they repost all of their things, from platform to platform. So everyone's constantly getting the same message. Okay, so let's first talk about research, advertising and brand promotion research. Um, and as we know, again, from BU 151, that doing research for marketing in general and advertising in particular really helps you to save time and money. So you can use a variety of different types of methods of doing your research: qualitative, which means numbers, naturalistic, ethnographic, studies of community, and then sociocultural. So stage one is developmental research. Developmental advertising, and really getting a chance to understand what the message should be. It's understanding what your opportunities are and what your potential messages, most effective messages, can be. So the account team and the creative people figure out who the target audience is, their demographics or psychographics, what they see themselves as needing, and what their usage expectations are. That also is an opportunity to get really important information about developing ads and different promotions. What will work best with it, what types of promotions will work best with that target audience. And always, as always, it's really best to do research as early in the stage as possible. Okay, so secondary research, if you remember, secondary research and primary research is for the matter at hand. Secondary research is research that already exists, and there are a variety of different places you can get that: an internet search or social media search, looking at blogs and websites and annual reports and that kind of thing. Finding out what you can about from internal company sources, if you're questioning the employees, government sources, census data, other government published information, commercial sources, so essentially people who sell data and sell information, and then also professional publications. And it's important that you get when we're doing secondary research, it's important that you get as much as possible, so you get as objective as a view as possible. Okay, so why do we have that slide twice? That's totally my fault. I apologize. Okay, so it provides, again, the developmental research provides a lot of really important information, and it's, again, done early to keep posted as to what people, so you can make decisions early on that are the best decisions to make. Okay, so what happens first? There's the design. So look for to come up with a look that people will respond to, and then it's when you come up after you look generally what the look is going to be, then what the message is going to be. And again, you ask your target audience, and you go through a certain level of audience profiling. So again, looking at the demographic and psychographic information. Okay, so here we say AOI, activities, interests, and opinions, or you can also put lifestyle research. This is for VW, Volkswagen, who we've talked about before. And seeing this is specifically, they're interested in, what they're concerned about is parking. So this is an ad illustrating what it's like to park here, the Porcupine, in between two different bags of water with goldfish in them. that it's safe to park with, and you won't hit anything. Okay, so again, more with developmental advertising and research. So a couple of options are focus groups that you have 6 or 10 target customers, and it's facilitated by a professional moderator, asking specific questions. Oftentimes, people will be on another side of a wall, also listening to them, and you get people bouncing ideas off of each other and get a little bit more qualitative research than quantitative. And then this whole idea of projective techniques is really letting the consumer, or the target consumer, to come up with their own ideas. Okay, so a lot of different projective techniques are association tests. When you think of popcorn, what do you think of? Dialogue balloons. So, what are the conversations going on? Story construction, to tell a story about people depicted in a scene or picture that they're seeing. They might have to be asked to complete a sentence or finish a picture, draw on the rest of the picture. So the idea is to think in terms of metaphors. You think of like some gum commercials. It's like a breath of fresh air. Okay, projective research is something that's done in psychology. It's the what is it that you see? What's that ink blot that you think of? What do you think of when you see that? Here's some more. What would those bubbles say about those products? What do these metaphors bring to mind when you look at those two things? That you can see there's actually, it looks blank on the left, but there is something there. Coming up with a level of a style collage. Mind maps. The idea of a mind map is that you see, you can create a mind map like this that shows the links, and links key terms that emerge from projective research and that consumers used when they were talking about it. So, what words, what the people spoke out, can you link together? All right, so another option is this idea of fieldwork. Going outside, actually in the field. It can be in the home or the site of consumption. So in a playground, in a restaurant, at a school. So you want to see it's direct observation, actually seeing how the consumer is, how the consumer is experiencing what's going on. So the idea is to see as real of a situation as possible, and a lot of times, that it's interactional. Sometimes people's practices are really connected very tightly to what their circumstances are, what the context is at the time. What's going on at the moment. Okay, long interview. Another method of gaining data about real lives of consumers and the way that they think about the brand, the category, and its consumption, how its consumption fits or doesn't fit into their lives. So long interviews they can last up to an hour, and the idea is to there's highly skilled professionals who do this, and the best way is to really to get at how they connect with what they're visually seeing, and listening skills are extremely important for the moderator or for whoever is conducting the interview. Okay, so copy research. You research the actual ads, and then copy are the letters or the words that are on the ads, and again, it's brought to the target audience to see how they respond to it, and it's done really at the very end. So the idea is to see how the goal is to see how well certain consumers, how certain ads score with certain consumers in terms of their responses. Okay, so sources of secondary data. We've talked a little bit about this before. You could do web mining, big data analysis, internal company sources, sales records, production records, timing of when people purchase things, again, government sources, commercial sources, places you can buy things, and professional publications. Okay, so copy research is that you want to evaluate the criteria and the methods. So are you actually communicating what you want to communicate? And then, there's some sort of research done afterwards, asking to validate, what it is that the consumer saw. So what consumers remember. So cognitive means is what the thought process. So with their own things that are in their heads, as well as their own reactions and thoughts and reactions. And consumers tend to remember humorous ads, but they may forget the brand name, which I think if you think about that yourself, you go, oh, remember that ad that's so funny about the guy who does such and such? But what was the product? Well, if you can't remember the name of the product, then it probably wasn't a very effective ad. It was fun to watch, but not necessarily an effective ad. Okay, so again, more copy research. If you're also interested in feelings and emotions, sometimes it's done in-house, or it's either done in-house at the company or through using some sort of agency. And then again, recall tests, the same thing. Do you remember the ad? Do you remember the key points of the ad? And most of all, do you remember the brand? So also then there's also recognition tests, if asking people if they've seen an ad before, usually for print ads and promotions, and just to see how memorable it's been, and maybe giving people word fragments if there's ever any level of knowledge of the brand, or if their attitude towards the brand has changed at all. This is just an example of an ad that Butterfingers used focus group for to help to create the Super Bowl spot, Bolder Than Bold. Okay, so copy research, continue with that. Attitude surveys, it, again, measures consumers' attitudes after exposure to the ad. They look at people's feelings and emotions. It's very important that they have a positive attitude, that if there is a change, it's a positive change. Resonance test determines what the extent the message rings true with target audiences. Can they relate to it? We talked about the lifestyle ads with people getting ready, their kids ready for school, getting their kids ready to go to college. Like, is that something that you can relate to? Is that really how it works? And they might even do it frame by frame, and they can tell the number. They will determine the amount of interest in the ad, continual interest in the ad. And then they also might go through a physiological assessment, which parts would light up, or which parts of your brain might light up when you're looking at things, and understanding why it is that people's brains are lighting up at those moments. There's also eye tracking systems. So how do people's eye movements move across? How long do they look at things? And then also the idea is, what is their are they going to buy? What's their intention to buy? Will they buy after they see something? If they see an ad they like it, will they actually buy it? So eye tracking visualization, you can see here. So tracking this eye tracking software interprets any differences between men and women's visual attention, and is there a difference between what men see and women see? And also physiological set. You can see this is like looking at what happened, what parts of the brain might light up. Okay, so then we look at results. Tracking studies, so it really is best to look at over time, not just at the beginning, but as the campaign goes on. So advertisements that offer the audience opportunity to place an inquiry or respond directly is a direct response ad, and they can give information, immediately when they see it. Okay, and then you want to be able to see if you can estimate the amount of sales that are going to occur because of the advertisement, and are there, how effective was it essentially? So you can look at sales data, media advertising, behavioral data in terms of are people buying the product, and then continuous field experiments, looking at things as time moves on. Okay, so there's also this idea of single source data, and single source data looks about individual households, what their coupon uses, television, the Nielsen ratings, and also some from internet tracking software. So you can, at that point, you can really tell how much of a impact the promotion and the ads actually had on people, and if it was worth it. All right, so account planning, and then is work, just a little compare contrast. Account planning, the account planners work cooperatively with account executives on a given client's business. It's the researchers are put in a more prominent role and do more developmental, qualitative, and naturalistic research. And traditional ad research is done by a separate research department, and researchers are involved when necessary, and they do more evaluative research. So just to give you an idea of how things change. Okay, and then one last thought is good and appropriate behavioral science can sometimes produce better advertising and integrated brand promotion campaigns. So this idea that it's really important to do things right the first time and have a qualified group of people working on your project. Okay, that's it. Thanks, everyone. We are finished with Chapter 7, and we will get back and we will talk about Chapter 8 and a little more about planning. And Chapter 8 is the last chapter in this section. Okay, thanks.